Welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today it is with great pride that I'm unboxing Pro-Ject's brand new debut Pro turntable. This hugely anticipated turntable is fascinating in every design and engineering improvement that it has. It looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful, and it's one of the most anticipated products I've unboxed. Full stop. Beautifully crafted, decades in the making as far as a culmination of engineering, manufacturing, everything. It features a custom cartridge, it features a brand new feet, a wonderful platform to start from, a brand new hybrid arm, style that oozes the quality that is, and still a wonderful option should someone ever want to upgrade it, with these little wee things that can be purchased to add to it as well. So, let's have a look. Pro-Ject boxing, it's kind of classic nowadays. Their new logo on both sides, and on both ends we've got scanning information associated with its model, the cartridge that's fitted, its colour, which today satin black, and a serial number associated with both scan information and something printed on it. All of their packaging is taped closed with the familiar sort of white paper tape, so opening it's really straightforward. In the top we see the accessories and other things associated with the product. There is a clear plastic bag and a beautiful sort of quick start guide. We have in it an alignment tool should you ever need to change the cartridge, a multilingual contact information associated with warranty, some beautiful photographs of the product both front and rear, along with some setup information including a list of the accessories that you see and other things along those lines, all pictorial based and very, very easy to follow. We see in the bag of accessories the new twisted and screened interconnect with obviously a long earth strap. We see the product's anti-skate weight. Now this particular one has a style change from a predecessor to match the style of the turntable. It's now a chrome covered anti-skate weight. Put that aside. We have one of those 45 adapters along with an Allen key for the purposes of tightening counterweights and adjusting VTA. There is, free of charge, there's a second Allen key. There's a tip scale for the purposes of adjusting the tracking force. And two belts. One sort of flat and rectangular with a Pro-Ject logo on it. That's for use with 33s and 45s. And then for the purposes of using a 78, they've got a dedicated belt for that purpose as well. Last accessory is the felt mat. This is somewhat optional depending on choices that you might make associated with setup and how it performs on its platter, but most people will put the felt mat on. Okay. There's an additional piece of cardboard, and that's simply to protect the Perspex lid and separate the accessories. The Perspex lid comes out and is protected with folded cardboard. Nice to see that they've sort of minimised a little bit of the waste. Discarding the cardboard is very straightforward, and in a semi-polish cloth bag we see the new lightly tinted Perspex lid, again with the modern Pro-Ject logo. As we drill in we see a triangle of cardboard. Now that cardboard is there, which is lightly supported by the lid to stop some of the parts underneath from moving in transit. Again, to protect the unit in transit, we've got two little bits of closed cell foam paper. and then lifting out the turntable itself. Now I'm just going to put that off to one side for a moment, and as we drill in again into some of the accessories that are still there, the heavier items like the platter are always packed on the bottom to ensure that inertia and other things like that. Basically, if this was shipped completely assembled, it runs the risk of damaging the main bearing and obviously leaves it hugely vulnerable to damage in freight. There is, in the polystyrene packaging, one thing you should always look out for, and now that it's this new sort of chrome finish, it's a lot easier to spot and less likely to miss, and that's the counterweight. Now that's an essential part of the turntable setup, and often one that in previous models was maybe discarded with the packaging, or perhaps overlooked. There is a separate box for the power pack. In the box is a New Zealand 2-pin power plug and a 15 volt 0.8 amp power supply. There's a couple of pieces of polystyrene which help to centre and support the now upgraded and improved platter. The box. The platter is unique to the Debut Pro. It's a hybrid of design and trickle-down of engineering that we've seen in some of their classic and much more high-end turntables, but it introduces a anti-vibration foam ring that we first saw in the Debut Evo. It's a wonderful little design, and its matte finish just gives an elegant sense of class to it. Now, the deck itself. Like most of the Pro-Ject turntables that I've unboxed, we see it protected by a sort of polished cloth bag. Taking it out is relatively straightforward, but you should always be very, very careful not to drag it across something and snag something vulnerable. Taking your time, we get to see the new satin black finish for the first time, and can discuss briefly some of the key features. Tilting it forward, you can see a departure in engineering from previous models. The cantilever and arm have all been massively upgraded, and the introduction of the new picket, or the customised cartridge that Pro-Ject is now utilising in the Debut Pro. We see a very traditional looking central spindle hiding the steel and brass or bronze central bearing. The motor is now speed controlled from a chrome finished switch, having 3 positions, off, 33 and 45, and should you add the additional round ring, it will do 78 off the larger pulley wheel. The elegance is obvious. The little touches that they've added to this to make it visually perfect as well as functionally perfect is wonderful to see. And at this point I'm going to semi-assemble it so we get a chance to actually see what's going on. The first and most obvious thing to add is the counterweight. It can slide on for now. We'll worry about the setup, the more minute setup, maybe later. We've got the ability to add the belt, and I always take the time to ensure that the Pro-Ject logo is upright and in the right place on the outside of the belt when fitting. It always goes onto the smaller of the pulley wheel, reserving the larger one should you choose to play 78s. There's the counterweight, and again that's very straightforward as always. It's adding a little bit of pressure associated with gravity, and that's a nice constant with these, and it goes straight over the anti-skates sort of hook that we have here. Always a fiddly job. On the middle of the 3 options, and then hangs just like that, so that it can sit and add a little bit of tug back the other way as far as its anti-skate. The platter goes directly over the central spindle, and then the felt mat. The tippet scale of course would be utilised for its final setup as far as the tracking force. We'll leave that for now, and then just simply add the Perspex lid for effect. Sliding all of that on is very, very straightforward, and you're a moment away from being able to enjoy it. So let's pause for a moment and have a good look. Leaning it backwards, you'll see the new feet that allow for levelling and other adjustment, and are beautifully elegant, and again chromed to ensure that the elegance and style continue throughout each of the key components. The metal and very heavy feet help to lower the centre of gravity, reduce resonance, and in the end, of course, reduce the noise floor of the turntable and make your records sound better. Spinning it around, we get to see again the brand new 8.5-inch carbon fibre arm, all one. It's an aluminium carbon hybrid. They've chosen to take elements of each of those to ensure that there's vibration, dampening, rigidity, and the function of that arm is absolutely perfect. Again, pointing out the new Picket cartridge. Wonderful combination of tracking force and output. Slightly less windings in this option than some of its competition, and a slightly higher tracking force than some of its, to ensure that the balance is found perfectly for a deck of this nature. The main plinth is very high density, very low resonance. You see at the rear the hinges associated with the lid, very simple in its operation, and the lid of course can be easily slid off should you require, and the hinges removed if the lid is not required at all. We see the outputs, which are clearly left and right, along with the traditional earth strap attachment. We see the third rear foot nicely protected with an element of felt, and the input for the 15-volt power supply. Again, spinning it around, we see the side, and a better look at the new platter that they've introduced, sitting beautifully suspended. And again, look, as always, hang around for some photographs. We'll take some close-ups of all of these elements, including every element of this new style that they've introduced. We see the rocker switch, which is associated with off 33 and 45, and there's a beautiful, elegant sound to that. They've not scrimped on these elements. The physical parts that you will touch every day as part of its operation have been beautifully thought out to ensure that function is perfect, form is perfect, and then that little twist of style that means that when this is out on display, it's a pride of ownership that is also there too. You'll see as we revisit the side of the arm, the raise and lowering, the chrome finish that we've discussed, and a beautiful re-engineered element of the moving parts to ensure that it will track brilliantly across a record absolutely effortlessly. So, there we have it. Pro-Ject's brand new debut Pro turntable, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.